Hello there, and welcome to the hot seat. We are discussing labor in relation to Employment Code number 3 of 2019. Yeah, many people do not understand what this code actually provides for. And here with me, I've got an expert who's actually going to help us understand and to get to know more about what the code provides for. The Act provides for many other things that include persons and the form of enforcement of contracts, employment, entitlements, and other benefits, the protection of wages and employees, prohibition to discrimination at any undertaking. To help me discuss these pertinent issues with me is Mr. Patrick Kalambo, who is a labor activist, is a trade unionist. He's as well an advocate for good governance. The topics for discussion include, these are extracts from the code itself, which include also maternity leave coming from section 45, the nursing breaks as well, section 45, family responsibility, section 40, and the cardinal one, which is gratuity, section 73. Welcome to the program.
Thank you so much, Mr. Simba.
We've not met for a long time, and I'm sure this time around we're going to discuss more, these pertinent issues, because I know you are so well versed in these issues, labor related. We are going to start with first of all, first thing first. Give us an understanding of what this code provides for.
Thank you, Mr. Zimba. I think the Employment Code number 3 of 2019 is a good piece of legislature, and it came about because of the lacunas in the previous laws. And what the parliamentarian or the lawmakers did was to combine the 4 acts to make a code. And these are the Employment Act, Minimum Wage and Condition of Service, Employment of Young Persons and Children Act, also Special Provision Act. These 4 laws were put together and came up with the Employment Code, which we have.
Is that the only reason why this was enacted?
And there are so many reasons. With the coming of this Employment Code, it has come with a lot of entitlement for employees. All we need to do is just to make sure they are implemented.
Let's talk about the maternity leave, section 41.
Thank you, Mr. Zimba. I think talking about the maternity leave, this is the leave that is for women or female employees in Zambia should enjoy. And this type of maternity leave is when one gives birth, she is entitled to this leave. And having talking about these leave days, I think the Employment Code has come up with an additional days or weeks that he has come along with the Employment Code.
What are those?
Previously, it was 12 weeks, meaning a female employee will go on maternity leave for 3 months. Now it has been extended to 14 weeks, which is 3 months, 2 weeks. It's an additional because they looked at a number of things when the child is not yet there, be left alone. So they had to add an extra 2 weeks.
Was that coming as a result of your involvement as labor activists? Or maybe it was a cry of women folk that the days were not so enough?
Actually, it's a combined effort. The government as well as the trade union to come up with something that they feel to be good for a female employee.
What about the female themselves? Did they also partake into the discussions that you are making to come up with such?
Thank you, Mr. Zimba. I think when you look at the way our laws are formulated, there is the involvement of the citizens. So we need to submit and it will be made as a draft. I think when it is a draft, it is very important for all citizens to participate in it. Obviously, it was part of the submission that female employees had to put in.
The nursing break.
Thank you so much. About the nursing break, This is an additional uh, provision on top of the maternity leave. So that means that if a female employees come back, report back for work after the maternity leave, the law provides that a female employee will have 1 hour per day of 30 each nursing break, meaning she will leave the work, she will go home and nurse the child, breastfeed the child. But now, depending on the location where one should go and breastfeed the child, so it's a matter of good relationship with your supervisor.
Is it feasible, like the way you're explaining? It's not like the workplace is about 15 kilometers from where this person stays, and if she reports for work, she would have to go back again, come back in the same 1 hour to.
I think that's what the law provides. It's 1 hour a day, meaning that 30 minutes each. So that female employee can liaise with the company or the supervisor to be specific, where she will, instead of knocking off 14 hours, she will knock off an hour area before the actual knocking off time. All in all, she has to utilize that 1 hour entitlement for
Okay, okay,
nursing.
okay. The family responsibility is also another issue, another section which is so pertinent and dear to the employees, because most of them do not understand and know that this piece of law does exist.
Thank you, Mr. Zimba. I think you want to look at the way we are moving with the topics. They are all talking about the female employees. So when you talk about the family responsibility, we do face a lot of challenges where a child can get sick. But how are you going to attend to such? So those are the things the lawmakers looked at. So meaning, for family responsibility, we have two types. There is one where we are given 3 days. We need to go and look for a child school, or maybe taking a child from school.
So it's not only restricted to sicknesses.
It's not only restricted, that 3 days that I've mentioned. But there is also 5 days which is provided for in the law. But that one needs a backup, meaning a recommendation from the doctor, medical doctor, to say a parent are needed, they need to be near the child to offer the family, caring.
Are these laws being adhered to by employers?
Yeah, they are being adhered to. And you remember here, Mr. Zimba, there are two types of employees. There are those protected employees, and there are also those employees who are represented by the union. The protected employees, there are laws that specifically had to apply on them. But for the organization where everything is done through the union, there is also certain things that they agree upon, because the law gives us a benchmark. But with the involvement of the union, you can even fight for better conditions than what the law prescribes.
Is there any preventive measure on those airing companies?
Yeah, there is a lot of punishment, and they are
Is it practical?
in practical. For example, a female employee, she's entitled for a maternity leave, and that maternity leave is not given to such a person, meaning there is infringement of right there. Someone's right are being.
What has that person got to do?
I think where there is a representation of the union, she can report to the union will take it up. If the union fails, no wonder we have labor offices. Those people are there to ensure that the law is adhered to and followed. Now, one thing we should not forget in an undertaking where there is a representation of a union is, don't think every law, once it comes, it will be implemented immediately. No. Because there are conditions that at one undertaking they are enjoying, which is better than that law that comes into force. No wonder you have to include what the law says in your corrective agreement, because that corrective agreement becomes the new law at that undertaking. Everything in there has to be adhered to.
What are you doing as labor unions, labor activists, in terms of sensitizing, making sure that these your employees, the employees rather, do understand and what these laws provides for? Is there any deliberate program that you've instituted as labor activists into various workplaces?
Yeah, sure, Mr. Zimba. We do have various arrangements where we sensitize employees in Zambia. And one of them is what we are doing here. We are doing this so that we give the information to the masses to know about this good piece of legislature, which is Employment Code number 3 of 2019. Everything that is there, we need to make sure that the employees in Zambia knows their rights and what is supposed to be for them.
Yeah, could you shed more light as well on family responsibility?
Thank you, Mr. Zimba. A family responsibility leave is a leave given to every employee who's got a sick child, or maybe he or she wants to look for a school for the child, or maybe picking a child from school who is not feeling well. Now, under that family responsibility leave, we have the one which you are given 3 days where you can go and look for a school for a child or picking a child from school. That 3 days is not accumulative, meaning in a calendar year you only have 3 days which you need to take. And there's another one which for 5 days where there must be a recommendation from a doctor to say the parents are required to attend to a child who is not feeling well. And also, this leave is not only for female employees, it's for every employee. Also, for the male employees, we have what is called paternity leave. Paternity leave now, it's part of our law, and every male employee is entitled for that if he has a child, a newborn child.
It's not only restricted to sicknesses.
No, not really. There is one for 5 days, it's restricted for sickness because there must be a recommendation of a medical doctor. But the other one, 3 days in a calendar year, you can use it to take care of the child, regardless of what situation you are in.
All right, we are still discussing pertinent issues regarding the Employment Code number 3 of 2019. After the break, hello, welcome back to the program. We are still discussing the Employment Code number 3 of 2019. Mr. Patrick, gratuity. Recently, we saw the proposed amendment to the act by the government of the Republic of Zambia. It was public domain. We saw headlines um, talking about the same. And just about a week later, we saw headlines again hitting various print medias where the Zambia Congress of Trade Union and its affiliates rejecting the amendment to the code. What's your comment on this one?
Thank you, Mr. Zimba. I think since this issue of amendment is a thing of the past, I'll not dwell much on it, but I'll just try to highlight a few things about gratuity and what it is. I think gratuity is a payment given to an employee after completing the long-term contract, and it falls under the definition of pension. So that is gratuity. It is the payment given to an employee upon completing upon the expiry of that long-term contract. That's gratuity. And also, I would like also to share and to make people understand who is supposed to get that gratuity and how is it calculated. I think every employee who is on long-term contract qualify to the payment of gratuity. According to the Employment Code Act number 3 of 2019, section 73, it states the employer shall pay an employee on expiry of the long-term contract not less than 25% of basic earned during that period of the contract. Let me repeat that. What that means is it is not the last basic that you have will be calculated times 24, then 25%. No wonder it's saying basic pay earned or earnings during that period. So they will sum them up for 24 months if the contract is for 2 years. Then the total basics that you've accrued or accumulated, and 25% of it will be the payment to the employee. In the simple way, no wonder some people they say 3 months per each year saved. But the law talks about 25% of your basic end during that period of your contract.
So again, government retracting, have to reverse the proposal to amend the act. Does that confirm the heated headlines that we saw?
Yeah, it's true. It is no longer being discussed, and the government removes, cancelled everything, even consultation on that issue. And that is the duty of the labor movement, because they speak for the people, for the employees, Zambian employees. No wonder our motherboard, which is ZCTU, came out strongly over that issue because they know the importance of gratuity to the employees of this country.
Yeah, what could have been the immediate consequence if we say probably if this act has actually had gone through?
I think my opinion is that since gratuity is falling under pension, definitely there were going to be a lot of noise because that gratuity, somebody enjoys it upon completing the contract, or even when they've terminated the contract, that gratuity will be prorated. They'll calculate according to the number of years or months that someone has done. So it would affect also those people on permanent because they don't just enjoy the gratuity now, but they wait until they retire. That's when. So it was going to have an effect to that because it was going to be chaos where this type of group enjoys this, the other group is not enjoying. So the coming of gratuity payment, the enactment of the new constitution of 2016 of Zambia on 5th of January 2016, that constitution which was amended, it came about because the government saw it that employees can be employing people on contract to run away from that package, the retirement package. So there was an introduction of gratuity. Even when you are given contracts, you will still enjoy that benefit. Unlike when it was not there, because they will continue giving contract without any terminal benefit at the end of the contract.
Was that a good move by the trade unions?
Definitely, it was a good move because we understand there must be a tripartite consultation where the employers, the union, and the government should come together and agree on certain matters.
This is the question I was actually coming to. Do you sit with government to discuss these pertinent issues?
Yeah, we do discuss with the government because you can't do things all by yourselves. We have our motherboard, which is the FETUs and the ZCT, which is the Federal Free of Trade Union of Zambia and the Zambia Congress of Trade Union. These are the mother bodies. So those, they speak to the government. A union at any undertaking, they speak to management on certain issues affecting the employees.
Are you able to point at any successes that you as a labor activists, trade unionists, that you can actually point out to say you have scored in this area regarding the employee?
Yeah, of course, Mr. Zimba, a lot of them cannot be pointed at because if you sensitize a person or a group of workers, you can't say this, that's what they are doing is what I did to them. But why I'm happy about my achievement is that at least I've put knowledge in a lot of employees. They know their boundaries, they know their lane, they know that this is not supposed to be like this is supposed to be like this. I've also ensured that even supervisors who think that unions are enemies to management, to put them in the right track that we are not enemies, but we are partners in ensuring that industrial harmony prevails at any undertaking.
Mr. Patrick Kalambo, thank you very much for appearing.
Thank you, Mr.
Zimba's
Zimba.
Finest.
Thank you for hosting
It's
me.
a pleasure having you on the program.
Thank you.
We'll be discussing several matters concerning labor. We'll actually be knocking on the door, calling you to discuss.
You're welcome. You're welcome,
Sure.
Mr. Zimba. I'm at your disposal anytime you feel like inviting me.
Sure. Thank you very much. Right, there you are. I've been discussing labor matters with Mr. Patrick Kalambo, who is a labor activist. He's a trade unionist as well, advocate for good governance. This has been Manga's finest. Stay tuned in the next edition.